And so to the Armour All pole position for round one on the streets of Adelaide. And $1,000 with thanks to Armour All goes to David Cedars. The Ford driver takes his third V8 Ute career pole.
Race 1 highlights, and as you'd expect, it didn't take long for the Ute boys to clean out the off-season cobwebs.
Charlie O'Brien running it very defensive, and Ryan Hansford, first time in the Utes, and locks it up.
So they're pushing hard early on cold tyres.
Ryle Harris, new deal for him this year, driving for Big Gun Racing with the VIP Pet Food sponsorship. We ride aboard with Jack Elsgood, the former champs.
Oh, he's up the inside there, so he's O'Brien's now coming back. So O'Brien got the better run off the corner, but Jack's going to be on the inside for the left-hander. But look at Chris Pither there. He's going to try and bind this action. No, he's run wide as well. So Jack Elsgood's definitely come out the best in that little encounter. O'Brien's going to now push hard.
Up front, it was all David Cedars, and he kicked off the year in style.
The pole man will cruise and collect. Cedars takes race one in Adelaide. Comfortable margin, 2.8 seconds back to Ryle Harris. The Ford's dominant. Elsgood third from O'Brien. But for the second year in a row, Cedars wins in Adelaide.
What is it about this track that brings out your best in that first race?
I really don't know. It's I wouldn't say it's been my best track in my previous history in other categories. So it's all of a sudden clicked, and I'm not going to knock it back, that's for sure.
Two of the weekend here in Adelaide for the Auto 1 V8 Ute Series, and it's a reverse top 18. So Peter Burnett goes to pole, Cameron McConville comes along with him to the front row of the grid, and David Cedars gets punted to 18th.
It's frustrating when you've done all that hard work, but we'll see Grant Johnson there. He's on P7, just behind Kim Jane. These two fought it out for the championship last year, at the front all the time.
Andrew Fisher starting from 12th, always a real runner. Had an intermittent electrical problem in qualifying. Ryan Hansford doing a good job this weekend, moves across from the Fujitsu series. There's David Cedars. Remember, the race one winner goes back to 18th, and it's all his own fault because he drew that number.
He did. It was quite frustrating. You know, you do all that hard work, you get to the front, you win races, and all of a sudden you turned around. Down to Warren Millett there in position 28 as we get down towards the bottom. Gomersell in 29, and here we go for the start. They're on the grid, red light on.
Green flag at the back. Away we go. Race two, reverse grid style. Can Cameron McConville get a win in a Ute race? He's got 31 other guys who'll say absolutely no way. But the Bundaberg Commodore leads us through the first turn. Burnett second, Gary Carson, Nathan Pretty over the curve, and Ben Cabbage next.
Geez, not a lot of room there, is there? The Utes are flat out through turn one, use all the curbs. And here we are on board with Kim Jane up into turn three for the first lap. With Grant Johnson down the inside now. So these guys, they've battled all last year, side by side. And here we are again, race one, more side by side action.
Craig Donis muscled out in the Thirsty Camel Commodore. And you mentioned Grant Johnson. They had some gearbox problems in race one. They've changed the box for race two. And everyone's keen to get a spot early on. This is Charlie O'Brien, our Auto 1 wildcard. And remember, Charlie actually won the last round last year in Sydney, so he's got some good form.
He has, and he's obviously very experienced in the Utes, and it's really showing. We've got a Ute rookie at the front with Cameron McConville, but it's been a long time since he's been out in front, but he's loving it. A bit of clear road.
And have a look at this.
Peter Burnett
gets into the back of McConville. Gary Carson goes straight
still goes on.
What is this, whack the supercar driver day?
Well, he did pick it early. They were going to be hard on him early, but we did see it. Oh, Kim Jane out this ride as well. So we did see race one. A little bit tame, but race two, the Ute boys have lived up to the action.
Pacemaker in car with Kim Jane, who's got Tony Black back on his team this year. He ran that car a couple of years ago, hoping to replicate the sort of success. Look at Ben Cabbage down the inside of Peter Burnett, trying to muscle his way through.
Oh, he's out wide on the grass. There's not much traction there, so obviously a bit of
Oh, no.
Left, right, they're going everywhere. The Ute boys are living up to their reputation, there's no doubt about that.
So Gary Carson leads, McConville next, then Nathan Pretty in the Monster Commodore. Now this year in the Ute championship as McConville locks up. Warren Luff, of course, has been the driving standards advisor as Andrew Fisher lunges Ben Dunn. He's now got a full-time V8 supercar drive, so Andrew Jones is the man in the hot seat. I'm not too sure that I want that gig.
No, he was a little bit bored out of race 1, actually, so there wasn't much going on. But race 2, he's certainly got his hands full, hasn't he? There's going to be a lot of decision-making during this. As you can see, Nathan Pretty now up right behind Cameron McConville. There's Grant Johnson in that Doritos Commodore Ute. Great-looking car. Great to have them as a sponsor on board, and it looks fantastic.
The reigning champ, of course, last year was so dominant. But here at McConville and Pretty, they've raced one another for many years, but not in a Ute.
And Pretty's got a good run there through turn 8, so he has a bit of a look down the inside. Cameron covers that one, so Pretty pulls out of it as they're battling for second place. So there's Kim Jane right in the middle of the action. Got 3 wide, push, shove.
Gary Baxter,
Touch.
Jeremy Gray, Chris Pither and Jack Elsgood run wide.
Who's going to come out? Oh, Brian, and they're still going on. Lock and brakes, inside, outside. See how busy they are in the car there, up to 3rd gear. It's a tight section of the road. There's not a lot of room forever. Can O'Brien have a look down the inside under brakes as we go under? And he's going to. Yes, he is.
The ice-break in-car has got it covered.
Oh,
He
pull it
just
off.
stopped that as well. Bang!
Another crash. Check this out.
This is good. Not for Jack Elsgood, he's in the grass.
I mean, that was pretty disappointing. Jack gave a bit of room there, and yeah, he didn't get left a lot. He got squeezed straight off the track.
Look at the way that these big, heavy Utes muscle their way across the curbs at the chicane. But Gary Carson's got the winning taste. He had a win in a race in the last round at Sydney last year. He's got his nose in front as Chris Pither now closes in down to 1 car for the Icebreak Coffee team this year. Don't forget too, there's 4 races this weekend in Adelaide for the first time ever. There'll be 4 races in a round. And there's narrowed up the points margins this year, so every spot is worth 1 championship point. It's Gary Carson, though, who leads the way. More race 2 from Adelaide in just a minute. Back on the streets of Adelaide, it's race 2 of the weekend with the Auto 1 V8 Utes, and Kim Jane is under fire. Ben Cabbage, Grant Johnson, Andrew Fisher. It's 4 wide.
Oh, now this is going to be interesting when we get down to turn 1, isn't it? But what we got there, we got 2 wide, 2 wide. This is not going to be pretty as we get down into the braking area. We've got Grant Johnson, he's on the outside. He's going to pull it off, as does Ben Dunn in the red ASCAR. So that was great driving from all 4 of those guys. Uline
in-car showed it all, but it's not done with. Turn 4 is a good place, but it's so bumpy, you've got to be careful. Remember Ben Cabbage there, car 23, the workhorse Falcon. His team is now running Jack Elsgood's car for this season. We jump the board with Fisher. Just trying to get on the power nice and early.
Hear that engine bouncing up the rev limit. It's trying to get that rear tyre to grip off the corner. So as you come out of the corner, you're in 2nd gear. It's about squeezing that power on, getting the car to move forward. And it's so critical in these types of cars on this tyre. Entry into turn 8, one of the fastest corners in the country. The Ute, it slides through the apex, out towards the wall. They use all the road on the exit. Here we got Kim Jane having a crack at Nathan Pretty. And Charlie O'Brien down the inside now. Chris Pither, this is going to be close contact. Push, shove, bang. There's Jack Elsgood in the action as well.
This is rough stuff.
And this has been going on for a few laps between these 2 guys. There's a bit of paint swapping going on.
This has been going for the last couple.
How
did he got it over the fence?
And where's Jack Elsgood in all this? He's got to be up there somewhere.
There he is. He's right with him.
Oh, there's a few nits on that bottom. Jack Elsgood up the inside. O'Brien covers it. So, oh, look at this. There's battles going on everywhere. There's
someone's
smoke.
around. Who's that? Where did they go? I think it's Ben Cabbage underneath. Oh, Ben Dunn was involved. And that's Ben Cabbage who comes back onto the road, and Charlie Kovacs is off too. If you thought race 1 was a bit pedestrian, race 2's gone crazy.
I feel sorry for Andrew Jones. He's going to have his work cut out after this one. So the battle goes right through the field. Cabbage up the inside as well in the VIP Pence Foods car. And bang into the side of Fisher. Rubbins racing in Utes. Go, boys. Rip the mirrors off.
Ryle Harris making a move and working his way through. The switch to Ford has worked well for him. DBA in-car with Jack Elsgood. This is still going with Charlie O'Brien. I got a fit. Whoa, hang on a minute. He's gone. That went for a while.
He lost the rear on the way into the corner and it kept going. And he just could not catch it back, but I'd hate to be doing a U-turn just there, that's for sure.
He's got to wait for the whole field.
You just got to keep your fingers crossed no one's coming when you go.
So Carson still leads. McConville is second. Pretty third. Then Kim Jane. Then Grant Johnson. Here's David Cedars. Remember, started 18th. Getting a move on hometown driver Gary Baxter. And he's chipping his way towards the front.
He's done a great job, really, hasn't he? In the race one, we saw all the Falcons at the front. We've got a Falcon out in front at the moment, followed by 4 Commodores. So it's a great battle between the two mates. And we've got Kim Jane, and we're looking pretty. Now he's right up underneath the back of the monster machine. What a great looking car that is at Nathan Pretty's as well.
And that's Charlie Kovacs, who's stopped on pit straight. But Nathan Pretty's not a newcomer to Ute racing. He did race in the inaugural Ute round here in Adelaide 10 years ago, but a lot's changed since then. This was a deal that was only just done a few weeks ago, as Ryan Hansford was lucky to get away with that.
Yeah, particularly there'd be a yellow flag there somewhere too. So they're now splitting Andrew Fisher, and one either side, down into the first corner, and Dunn's going to come out in front.
Not too many cars without mirrors folded, fenders creased, bonnets bumped.
Well, it's what we've come to expect, isn't it? There's the Stratco car up the inside, so there's passing going on throughout the entire field.
That's Reece McNally, the young Western Australian who, remember, won a race on the streets of the Gold Coast last year. Now, here's Ryan Hansford on the Auto 1 replay, running out of road, using some grass, 3 wide through turn 14. No.
And as I pointed out, there's probably a yellow flag in the middle of that somewhere as well. So here we go. We've got Grant Johnson down the inside of Nathan Pretty, hard under brakes. Cameron Conville locks up a little bit in front. Pretty gives him some room.
And here's Cedars getting Dontas. So this charge continues. But out in front, Gary Carson has controlled this race. It's been a great drive.
He's done well. He's just kept putting the laps together. We've got only a couple laps to go now, but he's just kept doing the lap times and letting the battle behind him slow those guys up. And here's the biggest mover, Cedars through the field. 18th on the grid, he's already up into the top 6.
Now, Craig Donis has got plenty on his mind, not just Gary Baxter who's trying to pass him. He and his wife are expecting another child very, very soon, next week, after this round, in fact. So that's an incentive to drive faster.
Yeah, I had this problem once at Adelaide with my wife very pregnant, so I can understand his mind's probably not 100% on the job, but he's doing a great job.
We're right on board with Raul Harris. With the Century batteries in car.
He's going to go the outside. This is going to be a hard way to go around the outside up in the braking area. Very bumpy, as you can see. Locks up the inside tyre. Can't get the job done. Gary Baxter gets back in front again. This car that Raul's driving is the ex-Rob Jarvis car from last year. Now here's the move. Good job. Great driving. Baxter gives him some room and gets put over the curb for his troubles. With the back bumper hanging off the car as well. So great racing here from the Ute guys. Action aplenty right throughout the entire field. As well, Chris Pither just back on the back of that train of cars as well. Gary Baxter's lucky this is the last lap, because with that trailing rear bumper bar, no doubt, that would probably get a black flag any other lap. Well, talk about bumper bars. Look at Carson's front bumper there flapping into high speed. So he's lucky there's only the last lap to go. And we've got more action. Jeremy Gray lunging Gary Baxter. Gray in his second season now in the Ute Series up against one of the real veterans. But Gary Carson is on his way home. He's done a great job, hasn't he? Look at that front bumper flapping. It's flapping all over the place from left to right underneath, but he's going to make it all the way to the finish. And Gary is another expectant father too. He and wife Jamie are expecting their first child very, very soon, in about 2 months' time. But Gary Carson is going to get his second V8 Ute race win. He got one at the end of last year, and he starts 2011 in style. What a great result for Cameron McConville on his Ute debut. In second, Kim Jane third, as the cars just run across the finish line there. There's Jack Elsgood in 19th place. So great result for Gary Carson right at the front. Kim Jane third from Grant Johnson. David Cedars, fastest lap of the race from 18th to 6th. Gary Baxter rounds out the 10, but for Gary Carson, he's seeing a winning pattern emerge.
Yeah, run the second race at Sydney last year and the second race here in Adelaide, so I'm getting to like these street circuits quite a bit, so I can get used to this feeling.
And Cam McConville's getting used to the V8 Ute feeling as well. The Bundaberg Commodore in second spot.
Well, they're a bit cagey, these Ute guys. On the grid, Peter, who started next to me on the front row, said, if you get into the first corner first, he said, I won't hassle you. So I got into the first corner first, braked into the hairpin, and bang from behind, nearly spun me all the way around. I saw him afterwards. He said, oh, no, I only just touched you. He had both front wheels locked up. So anyway, welcome to Ute racing.